make this time. So let's start. Last week I was reviewing Redux PR to add the support of aerator and a couple of other issues in Redux, and was also writing the Crimson plan to define the to explain the status quo and the scope of this project and some estimation of the timeline. I think we can finalize it before end of this week, and I will send it to stakeholders and published to SIF notes. We have a new report to host these the notes which are not added to SIF/SIF. And before the end of a cover paper of Theta Summit, I will try to look into the performance regression of Theta DB to see what I can find. That's about me. Trime.
I'm debugging the Crimson or SeaStor, and I meet a problem about the peering state, and wait for active. It always not active, so I just work around it, not fix it. And then currently Redux bench write can return, has the response can return, and but the Redux bench read still has problem. I'm not sure it is the read pass error or the write not right. So still debugging on the Redux bench read.
So, Trime, have you tried to use the original version of Crimson OSD without your patch to see if it's still peering? Because I believe it's working.
It works with the SeaStor.
Okay.
Peering state works with SeaStor, so just in my SeaStor environment. So, but I didn't fix it currently. I just return SeaStor now, and Redux bench write can get response.
I see.
So, but I don't know if it is right or something wrong in the write, because the read they also report incorrect. Some object is incorrect something. So still trace on the read path.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks, Trime.
I'm working. Last week I was working on extended version of the aerator branch. Here it is. The basic changes are about integrating with STD error code, adding support for stateful errors, bringing the duplication, the one argument taking variant of save. And basically all those things pointed out in the review. By the way, thanks very much. And also apply it also up the PR also applies. Sorry, the second version of the branch also applies the aerator to many other places. Basically, it converts now. The aerator ends at PG do OSD ops. I'm going to squash it and push to the branch that has PR, that already has PR. I need maybe half of a day to clean this up. That's me.
Brilliant.
I made the second and third versions of the patch to SeaStor regarding the domain sockets. I'm still waiting for comments from Avin regarding the third version. I hope now it makes it. And I'm going back to the previous code, which was the fallback for manager connection, I think. I have to I need to even remember what I did there, but it was almost ready for delivery, and I will try to finish that one. Make it ready once Avi and me arrive to agreed upon something that we can agree upon in Unix domain. So I'm back to actual. I'm trying to get back to actual Ceph code, not just SeaStor code. Next week.
Good. And Sam?
Yep, I've begun working on the recovery backfill thing. The first thing that struck me is that we really don't want to rewrite it. So I'm trying to create a cleaner interface between peering state, primary log PGs, various recover backfill and recover replicas code, and the, as it turns out now, rather complicated system of throttling and sleeping up at the OSD. That part's appropriate, but I'd like to generalize it a little bit so that the peering state interface doesn't have to expose all of that. This should be not super hard. So as with peering state, I'll start by rectifying that, and it should make the Crimson side of the implementation much quicker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Sam, I got a question for you. How do you imagine we should consolidate the different interface between the classical OSD and the Crimson OSD? For example, we have an abstract base class in like peering listener. The return value is not featurized, even if they are async.
Yeah, that's okay with me, and the reason is that if you take a look at that interface closely, while there are a few callbacks, they're how do I put it? The peering state doesn't do multi-state operations, so the lack of futurization is a problem for peering state, but not for Crimson. Does that make sense?
Does this problem apply to the backfilling refactory you're working on?
Oh, so my plan. Okay, so insofar as I'm not going to attempt to futurize internals of classic OSD. Let me put it that way. What I will do is make it so that the interface that hooks up into Crimson doesn't require much interfacing to interact with it. As in, making it futurized won't be super helpful because it's going to be wrapping a state machine, which is actually an even better way of representing an asynchronous operation than a future is, in this case. In other words, I'm not going to futurize it just to have features in it. It's not helpful. I will attempt not to make it the case that my choice of interface in classic OSD makes Crimson hard to read. But obviously there are always compromises, but I don't see that one as being likely. I think it'll be straightforward. It'll be like the way the peering state machine currently handles asynchronous events, right? It handles an event and it emits a thing for the exterior handler to do. But it's not. There's nothing there would be helpful to futurize. Because instead of submitting an operation to the object store, it simply returns a transaction for the next layer up to submit to the object store.
Yeah, I see. Yes, it's fine in peering case because it's by nature async, so we can put
exactly.
the handling in the background.
Backfill is going to be the same way. It'll be a sequence of any particular PG going through backfill is going through the state machine. Ask what's next in the PG, compare that to what I've got in the PG, send out some operations, each of which is its own little state machine, send out pulls, get pulls back, write down locally, send out writes to the other replicas, get the responses back, mark the object complete, release the lock, let the next state machine up, proceed forward to the next object, right?
Yes. Okay, I see.
In that sense, it's written in terms of callbacks, but whatever. It's not going to be any clearer to futurize it. And I would actually love it if we could find a way to make futures work in classic OSD. Perhaps a drop-in replacement for future that could be pound defined one way or the other, depending on which side we were on. That would be awesome. But until we have that, it's not worth worrying about too much, I think.
Yes.
The part I'm actually worried about, and will probably require us to think about a little bit, is I don't think we should skip this part. We should do it now, at least a little. I think I want to integrate the scheduler at the same time.
You mean the DM clock scheduler?
Or something, but I don't actually want it to be the case that we just dump a bunch of continuations on the reactor and assume that it will prioritize the client ones, because it probably won't. So we got to think about what we want to do there. It might be changes to SeaStor to add some kind of priority, but I don't really want to do that because you can do a lot of stuff with a scheduler, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to cram that into the interior of SeaStor. So I think it makes a little more sense to just yeah, I think it makes more sense to assume that anything. What's that?
I think DM clock is a very good fit in the schedule because it could return the future with a time.
Well, I'm not worried about that part.
Schedule. Okay.
SeaStor already has a scheduler, right? It has a simple round robin, do what's next scheduler when stuff is available, not unlike an OS scheduler. So the problem is,
but it cannot be customized, right?
It can't be customized, and it's not clear that we would want to, even if we could. The question is more, how do we integrate mClock with that so that we get to decide what it could be as simple as we simply work out how many currently active continuations SeaStor should have. Maybe SeaStor can tell us. It can say, I've been idle for whatever % of the time, and then whenever it's too idle, we release more stuff from the scheduler for it to work on in priority order. However we do it, that's the interface I'm not totally clear on.
Okay.
So I think we should spend some time thinking about it, but I haven't gotten quite to that point yet.
Okay, cool. Any
I
questions?
have a question.
Go for it.
Sorry. I have a question regarding native stack in SeaStor. Native stack does not necessarily mean DPDK, if I understand correctly. I know we talked about DPDK last week, and I know that we haven't tested it lately, but I do wish to, I think we need to check native stack in our current implementation to see how, if is there any special problem that we need to address with it. Any thoughts about it?
Was that directed at me?
To anybody who knows?
I think that as we develop our testing methodology, ideally we would cover everything we plan on using. But my guess is at the moment our priority should be developing the OSD side and more than the SeaStor side. So whatever's most convenient to test, we should probably test and maybe worry about DPDK a little bit more later. Or is it that we're testing DPDK now, but not native stack? I'd assume we're testing native stack, right?
We are testing Unix, the regular Unix POSIX stack.
Is that not native stack?
No, they have their own implementation, user domain, user space implementation of POSIX stack. They call the native stack, which can be used, if I understand correctly, can be used with DPDK, it doesn't have to be. This is more or less what I understand. Maybe more.
I mean, I think that's a valid investigation direction. How hard is it to set it up?
Native by itself without DPDK, probably not too bad. I'm going to try it in the next week.
You can use a virtual machine for setting up. I tried it before because my NIC card doesn't support DPDK.
Yeah, it just seems really orthogonal to everything else. And it doesn't seem likely that we're going to make choices right now that we'd make differently if we were working on DPDK heavily. Am I wrong about that?
I don't think you're wrong, but I think we better have some understanding of what is the performance results that we should expect should we switch in the future to DPDK. And actually, I was asked this question a few times.
Well, okay, that's fair. If it's it's an open question, then it's worth spending some time getting an answer.
Okay.
Probably we can, when he's back, we can ask him to do some performance test if he can have access to some NIC card which is supported by DBDK and run some baseline some performance test using Crimson OSD and Crimson Messenger. Do you have the hardware which is supported by DBDK by any chance?
I don't have now. But probably I can try to get it to order something, but it will take time.
Okay, I'll check if Incenter 08 is the NIC card on Incenter 08 is supported by DBDK.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
Guys, do we have some kind of matrix showing our arrival and departure times, hotels, things like that for the SeaStor Summit?
We should have one, yeah.
Sorry, Radek, what was the question? What kind of a
The idea is to have a spreadsheet showing, aggregating the information about our arrival and depart times, hotels, things like that for the SeaStor Summit. Just take a look, something like that.
Okay, I will add good. I will add my data into it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to send direct invitations. Do not rely only on a single link. Thanks.
The next week, and have a good evening, have a good night. And
one sec. Which days
Yeah.
were you going to be in San Francisco? I'm going to book flights for it. I just want to make sure I have the right days. It looked like it was going to appear on November 3rd and fly back on the 7th. Wait, 4th? No, on the 6th.
I talked with Nia yesterday. I talked with Nia on Monday. I heard there were some internal meetings only on 6th of November, so I decided to go to fly back one day on 7th.
Fair enough.
What internal meetings? Whose meetings?
Sorry?
What internal meetings are supposed to be on the 6th?
Well, I have no idea. Was I aware about before talking with Nia is that we have a meeting with Ari, with SeaStor folks on 5th in the RH office in San Francisco.
We don't plan on doing anything before the SeaStor day on the 3rd? No, it's Sunday. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That would be November 5, I think. I'm not sure. Will we have a meeting with Ivy? Or can we? Probably we can schedule his time. We'll meet him in person on SeaStor Summit. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, I was thinking that we actually have a meeting with SeaStor folks in our in Red Hat's office at San Francisco.
But has any of us had arranged this, or do we have any specific topic?
Likely Josh and Nia.
Who and Nia? I can barely hear.
Sorry? I believe that Nia.
Josh and Nia. Okay.
Yep.
So they have arranged this meetup with Adi.
I'm not entirely sure. Let's confirm that.
Okay, I'll check with him. Check it with them. Okay.
But I can recall that we actually discussed that. We had some email conversation about meetings in the SF office. Let me grab emails.
Oh yes. By the way, do we prefer to have the team meeting in the office in San Francisco or in Sunnyvale? If
we're staying in San Francisco, we really don't want to go to Sunnyvale. It's way too far away.
Yeah, I'm not taking a car for this.
It's like a 2-hour drive. It's super far.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way we're going to Sunnyvale, to be honest.
We probably need to have the meeting like 11 a.m. or afternoon.
Are you talking about the team meeting or a different meeting? Hey, Ronan, you're making a lot of static noise.
I'm talking about the team meeting.
Oh, because you need time for the Sunnyvale folk to get up. That's true. I don't know. You should ask Neha that. She probably just has an opinion about how long it takes to get up there.
Okay.
Because I don't think you can take BART that way around, so I think you have to drive. Maybe. Or if you drive to the... I'm not sure.
That's the case. Probably we need to have the meeting at San Francisco. Otherwise, we need to go to Sunnyvale in the morning and return to download meeting and dinner. Anyway. Any other questions?
Nope, I gotta run. Talk to you later.
Talk later.
Thank you. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.